Hello friends, welcome to today's Yin Yoga stretching class for the Lengthen and Liberate series. I hope you are all doing well. Today is going to be a gentle and nourishing class to really help you connect with your inner experience, connect with what is going on for you in this present moment. Throughout the duration of this practice, we will be holding asanas for about 5 minutes, and in saying so, some of the more nourishing and easily accessible postures might be held for a longer duration, and some of the more challenging postures will be held for a lesser duration. If you are presently experiencing life in a tight body, I absolutely recommend having 2 blocks, maybe 4, a bolster, a pillow, any accessories that will help support you and help you cultivate a space of ease and peace as we flow throughout this class together. So when you're ready, give yourself the space to get comfortable. You might like to join me in a seated position, perhaps closing the eyes, and giving yourself permission to detach from whatever narratives you had been carrying until this moment. Know that it is okay to let go. You might like to set an intention for today's practice, perhaps a word, a feeling that you would like to embody. Or if not, simply beginning to tune in to the subtleties of the breath, reminding yourself that there's no need to try and control the breath, simply observing, no judgment. Gifting yourself one more mindful breath in this posture. With your next exhalation, feel yourself releasing all that no longer serves you. Feel yourself becoming lighter, more at ease, more peaceful. From here, we'll keep our right knee bent and we'll extend our left leg out on an angle, setting up for half butterfly. We'll turn our chest to face the left thigh, placing one palm on either side of the leg. It might be in your practice to stay upright, or if you have the range of motion today, hinging from the hips and gently folding forwards the top of that leg. Perhaps lowering down onto the forearms, It might feel nice to have the palms facing skywards, that way there's no need to press into the earth. Or maybe you lower your forehead down onto the knee or onto your tibia, separating the shoulder blades, allowing the spine to round here, completely softening. And if this pose is proving inaccessible, know that you could always place your palms on blocks, and you might like to also place a block on your thigh or on your shin to rest your head atop of. And give yourself the space and the time to ease into this posture. There's no need to rush. Go at your own pace. Allow the breath to guide you and begin to settle in. Noticing the sensations on the back of the left leg, perhaps around the hamstrings, the calf muscle, maybe the back of the ankle, the lower back. Really honoring your own experience. Reminding yourself that the breath is always here for you as an anchor to help you stay grounded in the present moment. mindfully guiding your awareness to the breath, offering yourself one nourishing breath in this forward fold. Placing the palms under the shoulders and using core and arm strength to gently unravel the spine, raising the torso, rolling the shoulders back, crossing the left leg in, taking any organic movement here that feels nourishing, and when you're ready, we'll set up for half butterfly on the other side. Doing your best to keep both sits bones, both glutes connected to the earth, and maybe coming into a forward fold. Noticing what's going on around the face. Is it possible to soften the muscles around the forehead? Relax the eyes, the cheekbones. Unclench the jaw. Allow the tongue to soften. Soften the shoulders. And melt into this posture, letting go. taking about 3 more loving breaths in this half butterfly. Mindfully placing your palms under the shoulders and gently unraveling. Great job. Reconnecting with the breath. And from here, we'll extend the legs out in front. It might feel nice to point and flex the feet a few times. Perhaps find some internal and external hip rotation. And when you're ready, we'll set up for butterfly pose, Baddha Konasana. Joining the soles of the feet together, knees are bent, allow the knees to splay wide, feeling a beautiful opening around the hips, perhaps a tremendous stretch around the back of the glutes, and either staying upright or coming into a forward fold. Again, knowing that the props are here for you. If you're upright and you feel a bit of discomfort around the knees, you could always place a block under either thigh. If you're coming into a fold, you might like to rest your forearms on top of the blocks, or perhaps rest your forehead on a block. Allow yourself to ease in. Give yourself the space to feel what is happening right now. If you notice any tension or resistance, perhaps in the body, in the mind, or any emotional sensations, being curious. Perhaps inquiring where this is stemming from. And if nothing comes to the surface, seeing if you can simply be okay with this experience. Knowing that there's no need to label anything, there's no need to continue on with the narrative, simply resting in stillness. Offering yourself one more mindful breath in butterfly pose. Really guiding your breath to the lower back, to the outer and inner hips. Feeling yourself soften. Returning the palms under the shoulders, gently guiding the torso upright. Well done. It might feel nice to find some gentle half moon shapes with the head and the neck, rolling from shoulder to shoulder, pausing anywhere that feels a little interesting, perhaps creating some full moon shapes. And when you feel well established, we will set up for our next posture, shoelace pose, similar to cow face or Gomukhasana in Hatha Yoga. Crossing one leg on top of the other, aligning the knees, and if possible, guiding the shins so that they're parallel with the edge of the mat. If that's inaccessible, you could always bring your heels closer to the outer glutes. If you're staying upright, it might feel nice to rest your palms on top of the thighs. And if you have the mobility today, maybe hinging forwards. And beginning to soften. Noticing the sensations in the outer hips, perhaps in the upper back. Allowing the neck to lengthen. Settling in. If the mind had begun to wander, gently guiding your attention to this posture, noticing how it feels in the body, gifting yourself one more loving breath, and in your own time beginning to raise up into a seated position. Mindfully uncrossing the legs, you might like to place your palms behind you and begin to fan out the legs from left to right, inviting some mobility into the outer hips. It might feel really nourishing to invite some dynamic movement into the outer hips after that long-held static posture. And when you're ready, we'll set up for shoelace pose on the other side. So placing the opposite knee on top of the other, lengthening the spine, establishing an even distribution of weight across both sits bones, across both bum cheeks. and perhaps folding forwards. Reminding yourself that this is your practice and you can always modify it. If you'd like to pause between postures for a little longer, know that you can always pause the video and join us when you're ready. And remind yourself that the props are always here to support you. Guiding your awareness to the breath. Taking one more mindful breath in this shoelace pose. Returning the palms under the shoulders, and again using arm strength and core strength to elevate the torso. Well done. Taking any organic movement here, finding what feels good. Beautiful. From here, we will set up for Dragonfly. So extending both legs out, grounding down through the heels, the toes and the kneecaps are facing skywards. If this is proving challenging, you could always place a small towel under your glutes, helping to elevate the hips. And from here, we'll turn the torso to the left, placing one palm on either side of the leg, and maybe folding forwards as we come into half Dragonfly. Maybe lowering your forehead down onto the shin, onto the knee. Feeling a beautiful stretch in the side of your waist, the QL region of the lower back. And perhaps a tremendous stretch for the back of the legs, the hamstrings, the calves. So be compassionate, be gentle. Know that there is no right or wrong. It is simply about being present, being here for yourself, being here for the unfolding of life and its many miracles. One more loving breath in half dragonfly. Returning the palms under the shoulders, gently unraveling, raising the torso. Inhale, raise the arms skywards. Exhale, pivot to the right, and we'll set up for half dragonfly, this time framing the right foot. And maybe lowering down. Breathe. One more mindful breath in half dragonfly. And gently guiding yourself upright. Beautiful work. Well done. From here, very mindfully bending the knees, crossing the legs, and we'll turn to face the short edge of the mat as we set up for caterpillar. This is similar to Paschimottanasana in Hatha Yoga. It might feel nice to point and flex the feet a few times, perhaps find some ankle circles, maybe some internal and external hip rotation. Listen to the body here. And when you're ready, hinging forwards. For this variation, we'll start off with bent knees. That way we can really allow the belly and the chest to get comfortable and rest atop of the thighs. And only if you have the mobility, maybe then extending the legs and guiding the backs of the knees towards the earth. Finding a slight internal rotation of the hips. So you might like to join the big toes together to help you with that activation. It might feel nice to place a block under your forehead here, or have your arms propped up on blocks or a bolster. Feeling the spine round, breathing into the back of the ribs, feeling the back of the lungs expand with every inhalation, and seeing if you can soften, become more supple, more at ease with every exhalation. Breathe. guiding your awareness to the mat, to the body, noticing where you're experiencing sensations. Taking one more loving breath in this gentle forward fold. And in your own time unraveling. Nice work, great job. Crossing the legs, coming into a tabletop position on all fours, we'll set up for Pigeon Pose Kapotasana, tenting up onto the fingertips, guiding the right knee towards the right wrist and the right ankle towards the left wrist. Squaring off the hips, you might like to take a moment to look behind you and ensure that your left hip, the knee and the ankle are aligned, pointing the toes to the back of the mat, either staying upright or hinging forwards. If you're in a fold on your elbows, keeping the elbows aligned with the shoulders, or maybe lowering down onto your forehead. If you have the mobility, you might like to keep your right shin parallel with the short edge of the mat. And if that's proving a bit challenging, you might like to guide that right heel closer to the left hip. That'll help alleviate some of the tension around the right glute, the right outer hip. And if this altogether is still feeling a little too much, it might be nice to place a small blanket or a rolled up towel underneath your right hip to help you find that pelvic stability. Beginning to slow down. Beginning to return inwards. Reconnecting with your inner state of harmony. Using this last breath to guide loving energy to the outer hips, particularly on the right hand side. And when you're ready, palms under the shoulders, guiding the torso upright and gently returning into a tabletop position. It might feel nice to circle the hips and the shoulders. When you feel ready, we'll set up for Pigeon Pose on the other side, taking your variation, settling in. Oftentimes, it can be in these moments of stillness and solitude that we have the capacity to observe where we're holding resistance, to see from a greater perspective where these perceivable barriers are, where we're hiding behind limiting beliefs. And knowing that there's no need to judge yourself, there's no need to criticize. The act of becoming aware is the first step to ascending in consciousness and rising above. Realizing your infinite potential, recognizing your oneness with the universe. Allow yourself to dwell peacefully and happily in this very moment. guiding your awareness to this posture, to the sensations and the breath. And when you're ready, gently guiding yourself upright, taking any adjustments, any modifications or movements that help you find peace, that help you stay calm. For our next posture, we are going to be practicing a supported monkey pose or supported split. This can be a really challenging posture for anyone who stores a lot of emotions around the backs of the legs and the hips. So you're more than welcome to give it a go. And if it's not working for you today, know that this class will always be here for you, or simply feel free to choose a preferred asana of your choice. Placing both blocks underneath your thigh, underneath the lower portion of your glutes, keeping the hips squared, keeping both feet flexed. If you decide that that feels alright, maybe you'd like to remove one of the blocks, lowering down onto the other block, and perhaps using blocks to support your hands here, allowing the arms to soften. Or if you'd like, you can dangle your arms down, opening the chest slightly. A slight tuck of the chin to help elongate the back of the neck. And whilst we are softening into the hips and the hamstrings in this posture, keeping a mindful activation of the lower abdomen so that we are protecting our lower back. Breathing into this posture. And we'll be here for about the next 7 to 10 breaths. So giving yourself the space, knowing you can always bend that front knee if that helps you find a little bit more comfort, a little bit more stability. Staying in monkey pose, you might like to stay upright. Otherwise, grabbing a hold of your block, we're going to place it on top of the shin and we're going to rest our forehead on it as we begin to hinge the torso forwards, perhaps playing around with the height of the block until you find what works for you. And this fold is going to really help us get deep into the hamstrings on the right hand side, as well as the entire back body. Breathing into any regions where you are feeling sensation, knowing that it is okay to soften, letting go. If you're in a forward fold, mindfully placing the block to the side, returning your palms under your shoulders and gently guiding the torso upright, bending the front knee, removing any accessories to the side for a moment. Again, it might feel nice to circle the hips and the shoulders in one direction. And when you're ready to join us, we'll set up for supported monkey pose, Hanumanasana, on the other side. This isn't a traditional yin style posture, but it is a really beautiful way to get deep into the hip flexors and deep into the hamstrings, helping us to lengthen and liberate the body, lengthen and liberate the mind, and accept where we are. Noticing if the right hip of the leg that's extended behind you begins to externally rotate slightly, and if so, really trying to square off the hips. So imagining as though you can draw that left hip back and simultaneously push the right hip forward to ensure that pelvic stability. Either staying upright or mindfully placing your props, a block or a bolster on top of that left leg and beginning to hinge forwards, guiding your breath to the back of the left leg, perhaps the lower to mid back, softening and surrendering. Great job, everyone. Well done. When you're ready, mindfully and gently placing your accessories to the side, giving yourself enough space and time to gently unravel the spine, raise the torso, taking any final movements that feel good, and when you're ready, we'll settle into Child's Pose, Balasana. This is our final relaxation posture for this class. Know that you deserve this. You might like to remind yourself of the intention that you set at the beginning of class, and noticing how your experience might change were you to embody the essence of that intention. With every exhalation, feeling your hips creeping towards your heels, allowing the arms to soften, knowing that you can always rest your forehead on a block or rest your chest on a bolster, either keeping your arms extended out in front, palms towards the earth, or you might like to extend the arms the length of the body, having the palms facing skywards. Knowing that the further apart you have your knees, the more you might feel this posture around the hips. Whereas if you keep your inner thighs and your knees together, with the belly resting on top, you might notice more of a profound stretch around the upper to mid back. So seeing what feels right for you, seeing what the body is asking for today in this moment, and softening. Mindfully reconnecting with this experience, I invite you to pause the video here and stay in Child's Pose for as long as you like. And when you're ready, mindfully guiding yourself upright, keeping the eyes closed. Thanking yourself for showing up here today to nourish the mind, the body, and the soul. Thank you all so much. I hope that you experience true peace and joy. Namaste.